with parents. They seem to be in such a major. Hi, and welcome to the BMore podcast. I'm Erica Kane. So as we get closer and closer to the 2024 Baltimore mayoral election, we have one man here who is convinced that he is the change that Baltimore needs. So please help me welcome a globally recognized entrepreneur, author, and speaker, and who is running for mayor of this fine city of Baltimore.
That's correct.
Bob Wallace.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
How are you? It's a lot going on right now. We're just weeks away from primaries. How are you feeling?
Well, we're feeling fantastic. We are in the communities. We are talking to the churches. Our ground game is incredible. We're engaging young people. They are excited. Mm-hmm. They've even said to me, "You're our last hope." Mm-hmm. These are their words, not my words. You're our last hope, and we're going to get behind you, and we're going to support you. These would be young people, voters who didn't vote in 2020 but can vote now.
Yes.
I call them my secret weapon.
Okay.
So no, we're pumped. We're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. You use the word hope. It's something that Baltimore needs.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Especially right now in this election. I know folks are looking for accountability.
Right.
They're looking for someone to step up with a plan of action, actually make it happen. So they want to hear the plans and they want to see the action. So what separates you from others that are on the ballot currently?
There's so many things that separate me from others who are running for mayor. Okay. Let me go down the list. Right?
Please.
All right. First of all, I'm the only business person who's running. I'm the only person who has created hundreds of jobs. I'm the only person who has created wealth in the community. I'm the only person who has started businesses from scratch, right, and built them of value. I'm the only person who's running that understands technology. I'm an engineer, and my businesses are tech businesses, who understands technology and how it's going to play a role in our new economy in this city, right, of the new Baltimore. So, but more importantly to me, in terms of how I'm different, I'm the only one who's not afraid to fail.
Okay.
Why is that important? It's important because all my other opponents, they need jobs. They're looking for jobs. Bob Wallace, I don't need a job. God's been good to me. I've been in business almost 40 years, been married 46 years to the same woman, raised 5 successful children, 11 grandkids. God's been good to me. I'm good. I'm in this race because I want to see people, the hope that you talked about, I want to rebuild that hope in people. Yesterday at the debate, you probably heard me talk about what I call the irrelevant class. Mm-hmm. People said to me afterwards, well, what do you mean by that? Well, I meant what I said. It is the class of people that is emerging in this city, and then not only Baltimore, it's across the country, but that is emerging in the city, who don't have the skills, nor the education, nor the economic opportunity to participate in this economy to take care of their families. So they become what we used to call in business school the permanent underclass. I call them the irrelevant class. Why is that? Because they become irrelevant to the society. That is that if they went away for whatever reason, if they just disappeared, nobody would miss them, right? Even though they have human value, in the eyes of God, I'm not saying that. I'm saying in terms of society, that there's little value. And so we refer to that as the irrelevant class, and that is below working class, and it's what we call the permanent underclass. And what's happening in Baltimore is this class that I'm speaking about is growing. And every 4 years, if we get the wrong leadership in City Hall that don't address it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So you find a city where 2/3 of the people, of its citizens, struggle every day to make ends meet. It's a city where 1 out of 4 people live in food deserts. It's a city where 1 out of 3 don't have automobiles. It's a city where it's just the economic trauma is just so entrenched that it translates into behavior, social behavior. So when you see the violence, when you see the crime, when you see the drug use, when you see the poor educational attainment, as I said at the debate yesterday, it all links directly or indirectly to this irrelevant class that is economically traumatized. And until we as a city have the courage, that's why I got back to you when I said what makes me different, I ain't afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to take the hits. I'm not afraid to lean into the education problem in the city. You know, and we all know, our kids are not learning. I'm on the Board of Regents. On the Board of Regents, we oversee all 12 universities in the state of Maryland: College Park, Towson, UMES, Coppin, all the schools, all the colleges. We see it. We hire the presidents. We approve the budgets. We look at the academic performance of the kids coming into the schools from our 24 jurisdictions. And guess who is consistently at the bottom? Baltimore City. We have to create special programs because the knowledge gap, the training gap is so great from when they graduate to what our universities require that we got to have specialized programs to do that. How long, as I said yesterday, how long can we go like this before the state takes over the city? And guess what? That's a possibility. If the city of Baltimore doesn't become self-sustaining, you watch. Whether they elect me governor as mayor or not, don't matter. If we do not get our act together, this city has the risk of the state taking over. And if I was the state, I wouldn't hesitate either. If I find that the leadership cannot manage itself, then as a state, okay, let us take over. And what you have found over the years is some of the things that we used to manage as a city have been taken over by the state.
Right.
So it's not an inconceivable idea that the state at some point could say, you know what, this ain't working. Let us come and get involved and take over things. I'm not saying they're saying that, Eric. I'm just saying I've been around long enough in this country.
This is the writing on the wall that you feel like you're seeing?
Writing on the wall. So for me, in this election, it's a sense of urgency. It's a sense, I hope people see that. This is not like, some laissez-faire kind of thing. This is serious because people's lives are on the line here. And I take it seriously.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm running. I don't have to do this, don't need to do it, but I want to do it because I think the ideas, the leadership we've had, and the policies they've tried that don't work, okay, let's break this fever. I said yesterday, break this fever.
Yeah.
Let's find a way to break it, right, so we can get on the right path.
Okay, now let's talk about a few things because you mentioned a few
I
things, and I want to get back.
I did.
I want to get back to a couple of things. You mentioned how serious it is.
Yes, ma'am.
And if Baltimoreans were more comfortable, maybe it wouldn't feel that serious. But I feel that people feel the sense of urgency because they can feel it in their pockets. They can feel it in feeling unsafe on the streets. They can just feel it in the air.
Yes,
it's a different feeling. So
It is.
they are looking for someone to come through and make change. You mentioned job security,
Yes,
which is not the first time that this has come up amongst candidates. And so, you mentioned that that people may be acting in their best interest, may be acting out of fear for, wanting to stay politically where they are, not wanting to lose a job, not wanting to lose money. And you're saying, I don't have to worry about any of that.
That is correct. By God's grace, I don't have to worry about that. So if I don't win this race, I'm going to be okay. All right, and I've got other entities who are asking me to get involved in other states, in other countries. I mean, we do work globally. We've done not just business work, but we do mission work. We've been all over the world. The last 30 years, we built churches in Ghana and Liberia. We built orphanages in Tanzania and in Kenya. We built schools in Zimbabwe. We built churches in Brazil. There's great demand for Bob Wallace
in other places. So why Baltimore?
Because I love this city. This is my home. This is the city that gave me my start. I mean, as you know, I started in Cherry Hill in the projects, and we weren't poor. We were po. Po means you can't pay your bills sometimes. You can't pay your water bill. You can't pay your electric bill. You can't pay your heat bill. So all those cases we've had no water, no heat, no food. So I know how poverty feels. I don't need to read a book about poverty. I don't need to watch a documentary about poverty. I know how poverty feels. And so we were able, by God's grace, and had great parents, mom and daddy. We had five boys, in projects. It was tough. But mom and daddy, they were the anchor. And mom and daddy, like your mom and daddy probably did you. Right?
Of course.
Where they said, okay, we may be struggling right now, but if we do three things, we're going to be okay. If y'all do three things, we're going to be okay. And what were they? They were education. You heard me say yesterday, education. Mom and daddy said, hard work. What's hard work mean? Hard work means you got to show up. You got to show up. And a lot of times you will win, we will win if you just show up. You ain't got to be the smartest in the room. You ain't got to have the most money. Most cases and situations in life, just show up and be on time, right? Education, hard work, and then most importantly, faith in God. Why is that important? It's important because people who are oppressed, whatever their backgrounds or colors are, people who are oppressed, they got to have hope. They got to believe in something that is greater than what they see with their eyes. Mom and Daddy used to say, you got to believe, you got to have eyes of the spirit versus eyes of the flesh. See, and you got to be careful which one you believe, because the eyes of the flesh told us we were poor. We had no heat, we had no running water, we had no food sometimes, right? That's what the eyes of the flesh told us. But the eyes of the spirit said, but if you do these things, you can be in a better place.
Right.
The question becomes, which sight do you believe? Do you believe what you see with your eyes of the flesh, or do you believe what you see with your eyes of the spirit? And Mom and Dad taught us that. That's why God is important. Faith is important. Now, I'm a Christian, proud of it. But I got friends with Jews. I got friends with Muslims. Got friends with Hindus. It doesn't really matter to me. What matters is that you have appreciation. Well, there's a greater force in the universe that's better than you, stronger than you, and that it bends towards righteousness, right? And you believe that, whether it's true or not. If you believe it, see, then it changes who you are. It changes who you believe you are. It changes what you think you should be a part of. So because of that, and Mom and Dad instilled that in us, then my brothers and I, we were like, A players in everything we did, in sports and in school. They went to the military, became career military guys, but they were A players. I was the A player in the Ivy League. My little brother, A player in the Ivy League. He went to Northwestern High School. That was the only mistake he made. He should have gone to Poly with me. Mike went to Northwestern, right? But I love that school, love Mike, and my brother, my little brother. But yeah, I mean, it was part of who we are and what made us special. And so when you are facing the isms of life, right, the racism, sexism, classism, all the isms, right, you're always going to have people trying to stop you. But if you build up, like Mom and Daddy taught us, if you build up yourself to be a warrior and fight, then those isms can't stop you.
What did your parents do? And, being young Robert Wallace growing up.
Oh, my goodness.
In the projects in Baltimore. I mean, talk about, what your parents did. Talk about how you saw Baltimore through your eyes.
Absolutely.
At that time as a child, and how your parents steered you through that.
So my mother started out as a janitor. She started out as a janitor washing the schools, public schools of Baltimore City. And I remember we used to pick up Mama from work. And Mama, back in the day, they would scrub the floors on their knees. Mama be on her knees. That's why when she got older, she got arthritis in her knees and her hips because of the cold and dampness of that job. But anyway, Mom was janitor. Daddy was a labor Bethlehem Steel. He had multiple jobs, including at one point being a sparring partner for Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber. Now I know you're too young about Joe Louis.
I'm familiar.
So am I.
I know
Okay,
Joe
but
Louis
the Brown Bomber. Daddy's one of his sparring partners. So Mom and Daddy. But I'll tell you what changed Mom and Daddy. When Mom and Dad, never forget, August of 1963, what happened in Washington D.C. That's a test.
The walk.
Huh?
The March on Washington?
March on Washington. Very good, Erica. March on Washington. Mom and Daddy went there, right? And the whole neighborhood, and I didn't understand, March on Washington, what is this? I was, But when they came back, they were different.
Different people.
They were different people. Mom and Daddy were different. Daddy, as a man and a World War II veteran, he was different. Mom was different. All the adults in the neighborhood who went, they were different when they came back from the March on Washington. And so we felt that. We felt that difference. Of course, in Cherry Hill, it was all black community, and went to school to all black kids. But again, Mom and Daddy stressed education. But Baltimore was a very segregated city. And in my view, still is. At that time. In my view, still is.
It still is, okay.
You look at neighborhoods, for the most part, the neighborhoods in Baltimore are pretty much still segregated, right? Economically separated, right? It's a tale of two cities. I always said about Baltimore. And it was a tale of two cities back in the 60s. It's a tale of two cities now. Now, but the barriers are not as huge as they were back then. Still barriers, but they're over. Because I'm now on the other side of the city. I started on this side of the city in poverty.
You moved on up.
I moved on up. I'm on the other side now.
Yeah.
So I can relate to both sides, and that also is what I think makes me different from my opponents.
You can relate.
Yeah, I can relate across the board. My mother, you may have heard me tell the story. My mother was a recovering alcoholic. Now, I don't know if you know any alcoholics. I hope you don't, or any addicts of any type. I hope you don't. But I tell you what, when you have one who's in your family, especially if it's your mama, or daddy too, but mama's unique. It's your mama. That is a traumatizing experience.
Absolutely.
And
how old were you dealing with that?
When I realized it, I was probably 9.
Okay.
9, 10. It may have been going on sooner, but I didn't recognize it.
Absolutely.
But then when I got older and began to understand better, I saw Mama with the little whiskey bottles and hiding stuff like alcoholics do and things, and being out, trying to get a drink and all that. That was tough time. But I tell people the story all the time. But even with Mama, even when she was in the midst of her alcoholism, Mama, every Sunday morning, she was a nurse over at First Baptist Church at Cherry Hill. I'll never forget this. And Mama, she'd be out Saturday night, drinking and stuff. And Sunday morning, she put on her Mahalia Jackson music. Then she put on James Cleveland, Peace Be Still, every Sunday. And we were like, Mama, turn on. Wouldn't tell her, but we'd say, Mama, turn on. And then she put on her nursing uniform, because they had, in the Baptist church, they have nurses. Because in the Baptist church, they get into it, and
right.
people fall out,
Need help sometimes.
And need help, So Mom was a nurse. And Mom put on her nursing outfit, eyes still, still bloodshot from the previous night, and Mom would go to church. Even she's still hungover from Saturday night.
Yeah.
Mom put that uniform on. Sometimes she didn't iron it, but she put it on.
Wow.
And Mama would go to church.
Yeah.
And what she said that stuck with me and my brother, she said, whatever we were going through, Mama would always say, the Lord will make a way. The Lord will make a way. Hey, Mama, hold. Mama, time out. We ain't got no food. The Lord will make a way. Oh, Mama, time out. We ain't got no heat. The Lord will make a way. I'm like, what? But Mama was right. She was right. It took a little while. And Mama got off the bottle. I tell you how the story ends. Mama didn't stay an alcoholic. Mama got off the bottle. Mama went to copping.
Okay.
In her 40s. Got her undergraduate degree.
All right.
In her 50s. Went back and got a master's degree.
Wow.
In her 60s, she started her PhD.
Wow.
And then her health failed, and she couldn't finish her PhD. But I watched my mama move from alcoholism to graduate degrees, right? Don't tell me what God can't do.
Right.
And I said, wow, because we were in college at the same time, me and Mom. I was at UPenn studying engineering.
Yeah.
She was at Coppin, and it got hard sometimes, right? And I wanted to call home and say, Mama, and complain. But then I got thinking, wait a minute.
She's in class too.
Mama in class too.
She got midterms too.
She got midterms too, right? But she got a job.
Yeah.
On
top of that.
She could take care of Daddy in the house. I said, boy, you better shut your mouth and just man up.
Yeah.
So that was.
We still need Mama,
We still need Mama.
Yeah, we still need Mama. Yeah. So from the projects and poverty to Poly and then UPenn.
Yes, ma'am.
We're talking Ivy League.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering and Applied Mechanics, and then earning your master's at the Tuck School of Business, Dartmouth.
Yes, ma'am.
Ivy League.
Yes, ma'am.
I happened to be at the debate that you brought up, last night's debate, the Democratic mayoral debate.
Yes, ma'am.
You brought up education.
I did.
Okay, and why it's so important. When talking to Baltimoreans about their success stories and their experiences in school, they always have those pinnacle experiences about either that teacher that really encouraged them, that opened them up to their full potential, that made them experience their purposes or desires in life, and then then you have those that were really marred by the guidance counselor that told them, you're not
ma'am.
really going to amount to much, or, oh, you should try to do something else. That's not for you. Or
Yes, ma'am.
maybe you want to be a janitor.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
good, or whatever.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you talk about just that importance of education, and look where you are today.
I have those stories. Just like you, it's amazing that you put it that way because you just articulated my journey. I mean, but let me start with where it really began with granddaddy and grandmama. See, my grandfather was one of the founders of what was called then the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. And that may
Yes.
not mean anything to you, but that was the first
familiar.
union controlled by African Americans that was recognized by this government. All right, my daddy. If you go to the BMore River Museum on Pratt Street, they have this picture of the men working in there. The big guy in that picture, that's my grandfather. Okay, so my education started with grandpop and grandmama.
Okay.
Right? But then I can take mom and daddy, right? And then my aunts and uncles. I mean, education, as you probably know from your family, it was stressed. It was stressed. I don't care what
Absolutely.
you're going through, boy, you better get your education.
Absolutely.
So we did. But I tell you what, you said a pivotal moment. I tell you, for me, what was a pivotal moment was that when I went to Poly, right? Because up until Poly, I had gone to school in Cherry Hill Middle School, Cherry Hill Elementary, Cherry Hill Middle School, all African American women teachers. Okay, now I don't know how old you are, but back in the day, African American women teachers, they would kick your butt and get away with it. Right?
Okay.
And you needed it, especially knucklehead like me. I needed my butt kicked, right? And Miss Fenderson and Miss Johnson and Miss Brown, they kick your butt and then tell your mom and daddy, and your mom and daddy kick your butt, right? That's how we were raised. But then integration occurred.
Yeah.
And so we go from Cherry Hill Middle to Poly. First time I can go to school with white kids. First time I go to school with professors who are primarily white men. I mean, my world just changed. Like, whoa,
What was that like for you?
Well, it was rough in the beginning because there was racial tension. I tell you what helped us though was sports. So I played 3 sports, and there's something about team sports
Yes.
that allows you to overcome
Absolutely.
whatever your isms are, right?
Absolutely.
Because when you have a shared mission, and ours was to win.
Yes.
Then all that other stuff, all that foolishness about race and class and all that, it goes out the window.
Yeah.
We want to win. And if you can help me win, you on my team. And so I think that helped a lot
Yes.
for me. I know personally, and I think Poly in general. But I'll never forget my junior year at Poly, and I was always an A student. I was one of those, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I was a smart kid. I was always, back in the day, they had what was called enrichment classes. They were for smart kids, right? So I was always in this enrichment track, right? So I always enjoyed learning and reading and studying. Always did good in school. So I go to Poly, and I'm an A student at Poly, 3 sports, the whole thing, right? So my junior year, I'll never forget this. 2 of my professors, and it happened to be 2 white guys, Mr. Knighting and Mr. Sanford, right?
Okay.
Mr. Knighting was Polish American, and Mr. Sanford was Jewish American. And I'm in class. They said, Wallace, we need to see you after class. I'm thinking, oh God, what did I do? I'm in trouble. What did I do, right? So I wait after class, and they pull me up, and they say, we've been talking, and they said that we think that you have what it takes to compete at an Ivy League school. Now I would tell you, Erica, truth. At that time, I had no idea what Ivy League was.
Right.
No idea what it was.
Right.
I was just happy to get in college. I didn't know Ivy League I said, well, I don't know what that is, but, and this is how trust is important. I said, but if you tell me, Mr. Knighting and Mr. Sanford, if you tell me that this is important, if you tell me this is what I need to do,
You trusted them.
I trust you enough that I will do it. And see, sometimes in life, when people want to mentor you, okay, as a mentee, sometimes you have to just do what they tell you to do. So, because I mentor a lot of entrepreneurs around the world, and I always tell them, they'll say, Mr. Watts, can you mentor me? I say, yeah, I'll mentor you, but here's my requirement. When I tell you to do something, you do it. Don't question me. Don't, now you question me to understand, but don't question the accuracy of what I'm telling you, or don't. Just do what I tell you to do, and I'll be your mentor. And so in this case, these men told me what to do. I said, Mr. Knight, Mr. Sanford, I don't understand. I don't know what Ivy League is, but sirs, if you tell me this is what I need to do, sir, I would do it. And so I did. They paid my application fee. They told me what schools to apply. They mentored me in a field that I knew nothing about and had no foundation in. But the dichotomy of life is the yin yang. As you have the good, you have the evil. So I'll tell you what happened. So I applied to these schools, and at Poly back then, you had to get approval from your not approval, but I guess the approval from your counselor. I'll never forget this guy, Mr. Bender. He was a Southern guy, had a Southern accent, looked like one tobacco chewing kind of guy.
So your guidance counselor or this person designated to you could, if a school accepted you, the counselor could say that's not a good fit?
No, he couldn't do that. But
Okay.
what he did, he would guide you.
Okay.
He would guide you into what paths you should pursue for college or even the military or whatever.
Right. You mentioned approval.
Yeah, well, I say approval, that's probably too strong.
Okay.
But it's kind of because his influence was that strong.
Right.
Okay. But the parents had the final say. So Mr. Knight and Mr. Sanford had me apply to all these schools. So when I took that plan to him, Mr. Bender.
Mr. Bender was not ready.
He said, no, you shouldn't do this.
Ooh.
Yeah, Mr. Bender said, no, you shouldn't do this. You said, man, these schools are, they're very challenging, they're very competitive, And even though Eric, I was an A student, I was 3-letter sportsman, I was a leader among my peers. I had all the trappings of success.
Wow.
This man told me, no, you should set your limits a little lower. Now, once again, it comes down to, what do you see? Do you go with your eyes of the flesh or your eyes of the spirit? And when that man was telling me that I wasn't good enough, but Mr. Knight and Mr. Sanford said, you are good enough. So who are you going to believe by?
Yeah.
Well, I believe Mr. Knight and Mr. Sanford said, Mr. Bender, thank you very much, but I'm going to go this way.
Yeah.
And the rest is history, as they say. But how many other kids from Baltimore, how many other Bob Wallaces are going down this path now, right? And some knucklehead is telling them what they can't do, what they can't be. How many of our children are going through this right now? I bet you it's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I was blessed. I lucked out. I had a good mom and daddy. I had the foundation of grandma and granddaddy. I had all that to help me, push me through. But how many kids don't have that? That's the point that I'm making about my education plan. I'm saying, wait a minute. So if those things don't exist in the home, then we as a society have to recreate them somehow. So mom and daddy ain't there, in the home. And these kids are going to school, the ones that want to learn, that want to do something. But then it's hard to teach a kid 5 hours a day, and then they go home to trauma, to craziness. They're not going to learn. So we have to, as a society, we have to figure out how can we recreate that family environment that the child's going to need in order to learn and to grow.
What is your plan?
So the plan is with the schools is to, I said it in debate, I said in my platform, is to stretch the schools. And what I mean by that is we have to extend the day. Open early, stay open later, right? So the child can come to school earlier and get a meal and get tutoring and get help, just like your mom and daddy would do with my mom and daddy before I went to school. Mom would say, boy, let me check your homework. Make sure you did it. But no, that's wrong. Fix that. That's what mom and daddy would do, right? And then on the back end, when school's over. Too many of our schools close at 3:30 in the afternoon. They shut down. And the whole community has no access to that school. So the plan is to do that. The plan is to audit the curriculum of the school system and definitely change the leadership in the school system. I said that yesterday. I'm the only one that said it consistently from day one. I'm going to ask the CEO to resign. I'm going to ask the board members to resign, the 7 that I do control or have access to, because 2 are elected, right, of the 9. I'm going to ask them to resign. Then I'm going to put in my people that I think can help achieve the mission of rebuilding the curriculum in the school that matches the emerging economy, the new economy that we're going to build, if I'm mayor, that we're going to build in Baltimore City, prepare these kids for that. And it's not just going to be college track. It's going to be a track, if you want to work with your hands, you want to be a carpenter, electrician, an AI technician, a IT technician, which we hire many in my company. That's fine. We're going to have a track for entrepreneurs. You want to be an entrepreneur, we're going to teach you how to be one, right? So we're going to give you the foundation of education, reading, writing, arithmetic, right? We're going to give you that, but then on the branch, you want to be an entrepreneur, you have that opportunity also. We're also going to undergird all of that with financial literacy. So my plan, when the kid starts kindergarten, we're gonna open up a bank account for that kid and his mama and daddy, right? We're gonna put some money in it. We being not the government, but we being, part Bob Wallace and part the banks I'm going to get to partner with, right?
Okay.
And we're gonna put money in that child's account, and we're gonna help them when they're in kindergarten to understand money, understand how to manage money.
And this would be for every student?
For every kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Every entering kindergarten student. That's my vision. That's my plan. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So get these kids on a financial literacy track, right, where they understand money. Back to my point about the irrelevant class. They don't understand money. They don't understand finances because they never had any. Nobody ever taught them. They never had any experience to learn. Mm-hmm. So if we can, part of that training is to give them those skills. That's why I said that account will be that kindergarten student and their parents, whose name will be on that account.
Absolutely.
Now somebody said, "Well, Bob, maybe they might spend it for drugs. Maybe they might, but we got to try something. We got to give them a shot." And I believe most people. And I remember Mama, even when she was drinking. Most people want to do the right thing. And if you give them the opportunity to do the right thing, I believe that they will do it. Now some of them will go sideways, of course. But I think the majority will do the right thing.
Yeah. Financial literacy and certain things that aren't taught in schools that really help people just
Absolutely.
get through everyday living, very important. I know taking it back to the days of like home ec and shop class.
Absolutely. I remember those days. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly right. Why not? But again, all these things ties to economics. Because people say, well, how are you going to pay for it? And that's a good question. That's always I ask my opponents. Well, all this free. Okay, that's cool. But who's going to pay for it?
Right.
Who writes the check?
Who's paying for the free?
Who's paying for the free? So I'm all for free, okay? But there ain't no free.
Yeah.
So okay, who's paying? So it's good to have ideas. And the problem we have in the city of Baltimore is this: we have a structural challenge, and that is emerging, and it's only going to get worse. In this next budget, you saw there was like a $65 million deficit. That means we have $65 million more going out than we have coming in.
Right.
Okay. So the mayor had to, not fill some positions. He had to cut here and cut there, which I get it. That's what a CEO has to do. But here's the problem. If that trend continues, and all indications are that it is, because we're losing population, we're losing businesses, people are getting fed up. These young couples who get married and have kids, they leave the city. They're a major source of tax revenue for the city, but they're leaving. They get married, they have kids, they leave.
Absolutely.
Right? So we have a structural issue here in the city that nobody's paying attention to, nobody talks about. Because you're a politician, you don't talk about it because you want to get reelected, so you don't talk about it. But then when you get elected, then it becomes real again. Then the people got to feel that pain.
And you have to deal with it.
You got to deal with it, and they will feel the pain because you have a city now where the need for services because of this class, the irrelevant class, right? As it grows and grows and grows, as the economic trauma increases, the demand for services are going to go up.
Right.
Right? Revenues going to go down. Structural deficit that we have in the city that's emerging. Nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to talk about it because it's not politically, easy.
Right.
And so those are the things that Mayor Wallace is going to do. See, because I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to take the heat. It's like education. It's like, yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really hard. But I'm putting my name on the line. I'm Mayor Wallace. I am going to be the education mayor. You can hold me accountable.
And hopefully the parents will have your back because the parent
that's
accountability is what's really important.
right.
It starts at the home. You talk to a lot of private school parents, and
Yes, ma'am.
some of them, even though they complain, they do what they have to do, and I have to do this for the
I
school,
know,
and the
yes.
school forces you
Yes, ma'am.
to be
Yes.
involved.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's a completely different landscape when you have the parents involved.
You know what
in
it
that way.
is? It is. And you heard me say yesterday in the debate when I talked about when they asked the education question, I said, well, I do, okay. the people, CEO, board, and all that. But then we got two codes of conduct that I'm going to reinforce, right, and insist upon. Code of conduct of students. So I'm going to bring everybody together, all of the families and kids. Okay, students, this is the code of conduct for students in Baltimore City school systems. I'm going to hold you accountable to every school, not just Poly, every school. But in addition to that, we're going to institute a code of conduct for parents.
Are they signing these documents?
Well, they're going. If I had my way, Erica, yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm going to pull myself. This is what I expect from you parents. Okay? Because you got parents now that come to schools beating up teachers and arguing with the principal, and they're wrong. And so the child's like, man, okay, well, if mom and daddy don't respect my teacher or my principal, then why should I? We can't have that. And in fact, man, it is if a child comes from a family and he doesn't want to learn, I'm going to move that child aside. We're going to have a special school for him or her. So that kids like me, when I was a kid, who want to learn, can learn. See, the problem we have now, you got kids who don't want to learn, but then they disrupt the kids who want to learn. That ain't right. That ain't right. It ain't fair. I ain't going to have as mayor, right? So the kids don't want to learn. Okay, bring mom and dad. Okay, we're going to put this child over here, and we're going to keep working with them. Okay, but we're not going to let him or her disrupt the kids who want to learn. Right.
Now, we're talking economics and education.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the funding has been coming into Baltimore public school system, as we're being told. But at the same time, we're also being told that due to bad bookkeeping, mishandling of funds, lack of knowledge to even know what to do with the funds, and the funds are being returned and not benefiting the student body, the faculty, the system.
Yes, ma'am.
So how can we combat that? How do we get the people in place that are supposed to be designated to these schools to make sure that when the funds come through, that they're not just sitting there idly, that people that have no idea about financial management, they don't know what to do with the funds or how to spend it.
Yes, ma'am.
The bad bookkeeping, keeping funds from just kind of disappearing and moving all over the place and being returned. So how do we combat that?
So first of all, that is a sin. That is a sin that in a jurisdiction that is crying out for resources, it's crying out for money, that we have money on the table, right? And we, because of our inefficiency and incompetence, right, lose it.
Yeah.
Unforgivable. It's a sin. So what will Mayor Wallace do about that? Back to the people. You got to have people in place that have not only the will, but the skills to do what's necessary. Fiscal management, technology management, process management, procedure management. You got the right people. And what we know in business and in the real world is that A players hire other A players. B players hire B players. C players hire C players. A C player will not hire an A player. Don't happen. A B player will not hire A player. You got to be an A player to hire A players. Bob Wallace is an A player. That means that everybody on my team is going to be an A player. They're going to be the best and brightest, right, in those areas. And I'm going to hold them accountable, right, fiscally, technology-wise, process-wise, right? That's what leaders do. That's what CEOs do. And I'm the only one of this who are running who has the experience of being a CEO. Now, my opponent said, well, I'm a CEO, I've been mayor of this, I've been mayor of that. Well, it's one thing to have the position, but it's another thing to have the effectiveness.
Right.
Right. You can sit in the seat. You can sit in the seat. Oh yeah, I'm the mayor. Oh yeah. But how you perform, right? Has that lived up to what a CEO is supposed to do? I would say not.
Well, let's talk about business. This is your niche. You're a consultant with over 40 years, right, of a diverse business experience spanning engineering, IT,
Yes, ma'am.
tech, energy. You have 3 successful companies.
Yes, ma'am.
One of your opponents also has a business background and urges the importance of Baltimore reaching its full business potential.
Who's that opponent? Who's that?
Sheila Dixon, International Business.
Okay. Sheila Dixon, let's be clear on this. Sheila Dixon was an employee. Now, she worked at Department of Business and Economic Development, right?
Right.
She was an employee. Sheila Dixon has not started a business from scratch. Sheila Dixon, she has not created jobs as an entrepreneur. Miss Dixon says she supports the Minority Contracts Association, which she does. God bless her. That's great. But that ain't the same thing as starting a business and having to make payroll time after time after time. It's not the same thing. So no, I would definitely take issue with that.
All right. Well, thank you for that clarification. Okay. So, as a CEO, 3 successful companies, right? As an employer that has had employees,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Now we talk about Baltimore, business hub, great potential.
Yes, ma'am.
Potential for a lot of industries.
You mean the tech hub?
Yes.
Tech hub, yes.
Yes, and beyond that.
And by the way, we help to that application. By the way.
Okay. All right.
See, a lot of things that we do, people we don't raise it was, hey, see what we did. We just do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
Absolutely, yes. Tech, international trade beyond that, just so much potential here. So how can your expertise as a CEO
Yes, ma'am.
Expand Baltimore's growth in business, expand upon that potential and it not just be lost potential?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So that's going to be a real challenge for 2 reasons, right? One, and I'll take the Tech Hub example as a case study.
Okay.
We were involved in that application. My company was, right? It's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity, but be clear, it is the Baltimore region, not just the city. It's the Baltimore region. So you got Howard County, you got Anne Arundel County, you have Baltimore County, you have Hartford County, the Baltimore region. Okay, that's cool, that's fine. The problem is this. If you do not have executive leadership in the city where you can negotiate with the surrounding counties to make sure that your people get their fair share,
Absolutely.
all right, then we're going to be back where we were. And too often, we have leaders who do not understand business, they don't understand economics, they don't understand how to negotiate with the business leaders, right? And the people end up suffering. That's what happens. You ever drive around Baltimore City? We got AC construction going on. I do it all the time. I drive around, I take notes. Now, how many of these people working live in Baltimore, come from Baltimore? How many of these businesses doing this work are Baltimore businesses? I see trucks with New Jersey tags on them, West Virginia, Virginia.
Okay.
I'm like, golly, wait. You mean tell me there ain't no businesses in Baltimore City that can do this work? That's a problem. That is the failure of leadership. And I keep trying to remind people, look what they're doing to you. The little opportunity that we have, they're giving it away because they don't have the mind of a business person. They don't have the mind to how to negotiate. So that's one piece. The other piece is, Erica, is the skill gap. The skills gap. These jobs we're talking about health tech, which my company, by the way, does. Health tech kind of jobs, biomedical work. Yeah, there'll be some low-skill jobs, but not many. Most of them will require a certain level of skills. Too many of our people, that irrelevant class I'm talking to you about, they don't have those skills.
Right.
So that means that we got to very quickly upskill. Okay, not as many as we can, as fast as we can, right?
Yeah.
So that they can benefit from this. So that's the kinds of things that the CEO of the city has to figure out. How do I close that gap? And then on the bottom end, and then on the top end, how do I negotiate so that make sure that my people in the city get their fair share of this multi-billion-dollar investment that's going to occur?
Yeah.
So you got to have a business mind to do those kinds of things. And we've not had business-minded leaders. Let's face it. They're not bad people, Erica. They're not bad people. I mean, Brandon, I don't know what Brandon does. He's sociology. Or Sheila was a teacher for 2 years. Wasn't teach that long. Kathy was in politics. And Martin Malley was a lawyer. Kurt Spock was a lawyer. He was a great mayor. I thought he was a lawyer. Schaefer was sociology. I think I'd be the only engineer, businessman, mayor we've ever had.
And it's time for business.
And it's time for business, and it's time for technology. And I think skill-wise, I think I'd be the perfect mayor in terms of where I see Baltimore going and where the new future is for us, where the new economy is emerging. I think I'd be the most qualified to lead us on that path.
Yeah.
So
it's a new age and a new day.
Yeah, new age, new day. That's my opinion. It's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Well, you're an author, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You've written books. You've had training workshops that share what you call innovative strategies for success.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you be adding some of that to what you're doing here?
You bet your bottom dollar.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. One of the things that we're having we've really engaged young people in our campaign. And we're having a big young person event this Sunday at Graffiti Alley. And we're going to have young people. We're going to have these influencers, DJ, and food. We get these young people engaged because I am the mentor mayor. I'm not only the education mayor, I'm also the red line mayor, but I'm also the mentor mayor. And what I mean by that is, one way that my father raised us, and I raised my kids, and as mayor, as the executive leader of the city, I'm going to follow the same process, and that is a philosophy that says, I must decrease as you increase. Mm-hmm. See, that's what leaders do. That's how we build legacy. That's how we build transition of generations, right? And too many times we have leaders who want to hold it all close to themselves. No, that's not Bob Wallace, because I'm not going to be here long. I'm here to get this ship righted and get it moving in the right direction, have the right captain and team and crew members on board so that this ship will sail, whether Bob Wallace is here or not. That requires that we bring in young people, that we bring in people who care about the city, who want to lead the city, and that we mentor them now.
Yeah.
We pass on that knowledge now. I did the same thing for my kids. My kids are growing up. My oldest boy is 40, child's 46, my baby's 30, and all of them are successful. Why? Because me and my wife said, we must decrease as you increase. That is, we must impart to you all the wisdom and knowledge and resources that we have so that you can take that and grow to a greater height.
Well, those are the best leaders, right? That can teach other people to be self-sustainable.
I believe so.
Like I said, instead of bringing you the fish, teach you how to fish.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
You can, right.
Absolutely. I believe so. And it's worked for my family. Mm-hmm. It's worked for my generation, my lineage. I think it can work for the city on an institutional level, right? So we can institutionalize. And what that simply means is that it can happen whether I'm here or not. It's not dependent upon any woman or any man. It's dependent upon a system of processes and procedures that occur regardless of who's in the seat.
Absolutely.
That's how we institutionalize it. So I am an institutionalizing mayor. I'm not trying to hold on power and all that. I want to do what's best for the people and then get on with my life.
Okay. Well, Mr. Wallace, this is not your first time at this rodeo. You made history in 2020, becoming the first independent candidate for mayor of Baltimore, not only to secure a place on the ballots, but to amass nearly 50,000 votes.
Yes, ma'am.
As an independent in a very Democratic-heavy climate. What did that experience teach you? Because, campaigns are tough. They're exhausting mentally, physically. A loss is not easy. Some people can, crawl home with their tail between their legs.
Yes, ma'am.
Or there's some folks that just jump in the gym right the next day and get ready for the next fight. So what was that experience like for you?
Well, I tell you, I like you, I don't like to lose. I very rarely lose in life. Most things that I do, I win, right? Losing is not part of my repertoire, okay? I did lose there. What did it teach me? A couple of things. Number one, it taught me there's some really fine people in the city.
Okay.
Like this man right there.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson, Michael Johnson, and India artists and Sarah Holly and Andrea Bowman and Davida Hirschberg and Paul and Eric Derrick and just the people has been a blessing, right? That I probably wouldn't have been able to touch like I have if I hadn't run that campaign.
Right.
Secondly, it taught me, unfortunately, our country is a two-party country. It is almost impossible for third parties to get traction in America. I tried in Baltimore. It's very expensive. I will, by the time we're done here, this campaign, if I combine this campaign in 2020, I will have spent of my own money conceivably over $1 million of my own money. Right. Not many people want to do that.
Right.
So it makes it difficult for third parties to get traction. So what I learned is, okay, if you're going to be in politics in America, you got to pick a tribe. Now, I've been different in parties. I'm a Democrat now because the Democratic Party, that tribe, has the best plans in place that I think to help the people of Baltimore City, not the Republicans. The Republican Party has become the party of Trump, which I want nothing to do with, right? And they try to pull me in that, no, I want nothing to do with y'all, nothing. Nothing. If you are the party of Trump, you're not going to have Bob Wallace as part of that. The Democratic Party has the best solutions, I would think, the best political solutions to that. Now, in Baltimore City, they've not worked so well because I think the way they've been implemented or executed on. But I do think that the party has the best interests of working class people in mind, the middle class, more than the Republicans.
Okay. Now, you talk about the irrelevant class.
Irrelevant class.
You talk about the irrelevant class and how education got you out of the irrelevant class.
Yes, ma'am.
And to a better place. At the Democratic mayoral debate yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
You asked the question, how long?
How long?
You said, how long are you willing to be ignored
Yes, ma'am.
as the irrelevant class? How long are you willing to be ignored and have your votes taken for granted?
Yes, ma'am.
Right now, with all of the polls going around, public safety, crime, major concern amongst voters, including transportation, roads, education,
Yes, ma'am.
money, economics.
Yes, ma'am.
What are your top concerns? I don't want to even say a top three, but what are your top concerns for Baltimore, and what do you feel like are the first things that you really want to get moving on and hit the ground running if you take office?
Absolutely. So there are three areas. So if I look at, I mentioned my approach, and I'm really trying to be very careful of what I can do in 4 years. See, to turn Baltimore around, it's going to take a generation. To completely turn it around, it will take a generation, okay? But what the next mayor can do is he or she can put the plan in place, the team in place, and start moving in the right direction. That's what I plan to do. Do that three areas, right? We're going to remodel and remake. Now, what does that mean? Remodel, remake. Remodel means to rethink. Remake means to rebuild. So we're going to remodel, remake, starting with government services. Right? How government delivers services. So my plan is to organize the city into villages, and that are pockets of the city that have common characteristics. Right? That I can then, as mayor, I can tailor the services to meet the needs of that particular group of people. Right? Versus having one plan fits all for the whole city. No, it doesn't work. But if I can create the villages, and I can pinpoint my services, I can make that work. Now, in each village, we're going to have two major assets. We're going to have what we call mayor service centers, right?
Okay.
That's like mini city halls.
Okay.
What Mayor Wallace is going to do is we're going to dismantle downtown City Hall, and we're going to, as much as we can, and we're going to move those services into each of the villages. So every village will have a mayor service center. They will include health, and same things you get down to health,
Okay.
permitting, public safety, education strategy, all the things that the community needs, we're going to have that housed out of the mayor's service center.
So you can go somewhere close in your own neighborhood as opposed to having to come.
And it's going to be tailored to your village, not just the whole city, to your village. The second asset we're going to have in each village is what we call neighborhood economic development centers.
Okay.
NECDs. Now, what is that? That is the platform that we're going to use to rebuild the economies in the neighborhoods. Right? What will be included in that? You heard it yesterday. We're going to have, as one of the anchors, it's going to be supermarkets, especially for food deserts. Right? We're going to have food markets. We're going to have child care. Why is that important? Because a lot of single parents, right?
They need
A
to
lot of
work.
single women, they work. Somebody got to take care of those kids. Mama's trying to struggle, get two kids to school in the mornings and get to work on time. She's got to have support, child care. Right? We're going to have another piece. It's going to be tech centers, okay, where we have a place where we can teach people the new technology, whether it's AI, whether it's IT, whether it's urban agriculture, whatever it is. We're going to have that center there, a platform where they can be taught. It's also going to be a platform in which we attract new industries to the neighborhoods, right? Talking about light manufacturing, talking about warehousing, we're talking about fulfillment kinds of businesses, right? One thing we learned from the pandemic was that our supply chain is fractured. Our supply chain in America, right, is weak. We saw that in the pandemic. You couldn't get stuff. You couldn't get toilet paper. You couldn't get enough of that. The pandemic revealed that weakness. Well, now that every problem, like I said yesterday, every problem is opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, what about the neighborhoods with permit issues? What about the neighborhoods that aren't necessarily permitted to have certain businesses in that neighborhood?
Okay. Who says they can't? They're not permitted. The government. the government.
Right.
So
you're saying if you are the government, you will change that.
If I'm the mayor and the people say we want to move in this direction and there's some permitting constraint, then we'll deal with that.
Okay.
Permitting always changes, right? It's the will of the people.
Okay.
All right. So I'm not too concerned about that.
Okay.
The biggest concern I have is just getting people to rethink how we become successful. See, we used to the same paradigm, this failed leadership and failed policies, and we just like, that's all we can do. No, that's not all we can do. That's why Golly B comes in. I'm like, wait a minute, we don't need to do that.
We're not failures, and we
Yeah,
deserve more.
Yeah, we deserve more. No, this is unacceptable. No. See, these guys have been doing it for decades. That's all they know.
And people have accepted it.
And they accepted it.
And there are people that have grown up in this and don't know anything else.
Amen, Erica. That's why I said yesterday, how long? It was a rhetorical question. People, how long, people? How long are we going to let them tell us how to live? How long are we going to let them just walk over us and abuse us? How long are we going to accept being ignored until election year? Come on, folks. How long? And so I believe that if people can get past that, where they say, how long? Not long, because we're not going to take it anymore. Then I believe, Erica, they'll pivot to a guy like me. Say, oh, this guy, he's not a politician. He's a businessman, engineer. Got some new ideas. Let's give him a shot. Because I tell people, you gave Miss Dixon a shot years ago for mayor. You see what you got. You gave Mr. Scott a shot in 2020. Yeah, he beat me. I came in second place. He beat me, fair and square. You give him a shot. You see what you got. Maybe you should give Bob Wallace a shot.
Well, Bob Wallace, we are with us just weeks away from the primary, right? Months away from the election. And we talked about a lot, and I really appreciate you just being so transparent and having this conversation with me.
Thank you.
So if you were to take office, how would you handle the rebuilding of the Key Bridge? Such a travesty that has happened, has affected Baltimore in such a major way. How would you handle the rebuilding of the Key Bridge and the payment of it? We talked about economics and business, so I'm interested in getting your take on that.
So every problem is an opportunity. So what we need to do is take that catastrophe and turn it into an economic opportunity. We do it three ways. One, we reimagine the bridge. So we put not only car and truck, but we put rail on it. We put bike lanes on it, all right, to make it a multimodal kind of figure. We use local businesses to rebuild it. Local laborers to rebuild it, right? It's going to be about $1 billion investment. That is $1 billion investment in Baltimore City that if we're smart, can help generate jobs in our city.
Do you see a timeline there?
It's going to be 5 years. That's a 5-year play.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm an engineer, so I've done construction stuff, and it's going to be at least a 5-year journey.
But you see it as feasible and necessary.
Yes, ma'am, I do. And I think we can reimagine this bridge. We can reimagine how we build it, how we design it, and use local resources to do it. I do believe the feds are going to provide most of the money, probably 80% of the funds to build it. But we're going to need state money also, and maybe even some local funds to make it happen.
Okay. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you want the people to know about Bob Wallace? Well,
I believe that and this is important to me, so you asked me what's important to me, so I'm going to say it to you. It may not be politically correct, right? I am an unabashed and a proud man of God. I think what City Hall needs is a woman or a man of God, right? Who not ashamed to say that, not ashamed to be a part of it. And this is not about religion. This is not about this. This is about understanding the role that faith has played, not only in Baltimore, but in this nation, in this country's development, right? Because if we can get back to a shared set of values, a shared mission, a shared vision, that connects all of us together.
That teamwork, like
you
mentioned.
Yes, ma'am. The teamwork. Then I think we can get a lot done quickly, right? Right now, it's just so much division, so many, schisms. It's a mess.
Yeah.
And so we need somebody that can bring it together. And that's why I said when I talk about the Baltimore Tale of Two Cities, Bob Wallace started in one side of that city. He lives in the other today. I've made that transition. I know what it takes. I know what's involved. I know what pieces need to be put in place. All I want to do now is mayor, is to institutionalize those paths so that all the Bob Wallaces, I can assure you, there are probably tens of thousands of Bob Wallaces and Barbara Wallaces, if you will, in Baltimore right now. That is young men and women who are gifted, talented, and God has a plan for them, and all they need is leadership and an environment that will nurture them, like my mom and daddy did me and my brothers, and your parents did you, and your parents and your parents. Okay, they nurture you so that whatever that gift is that God gave you, that it can be strengthened, it can blossom, and then it can benefit all humanity. Right? That's what we need in Baltimore. And I assure you, there are a lot of Bob Wallaces out there today. And I say Barbara because the girls, so I'm a man. Bob Wallace.
I got
Barbara, you got right. You feel me,
I
right?
got
you. so they're out there. I see them every day, and I'm trying to grab them like a hen would grab her chicks. I'm trying to grab them, but it's so many. I can't get them all. But if we have a leader that can use the resources of government to create bigger systems that can grab them all in, say, baby, I got you. I got you, baby. I got you.
Yes,
I got
indeed.
you. And then have them get that confidence and have them grow. Man, it will change this city overnight. And then I can march off into the sunset. Okay.
Well, we shall see. We're weeks away from the primary, months away from the election. Bob Wallace, Democratic candidate for mayor of Baltimore.
Yes,
Thank you so much for joining us here on BMore. We really appreciate you. You can also log on wallaceforbaltimore2024.com.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay, to learn more about Mr. Wallace. And we thank you for joining us here on BMore. If you want to check out more episodes, just log on WMAR2news.com. You can also check out our YouTube page, WMAR, and click on that To Be More playlist. I'm Erica Kane. Thank you so much for checking us out, and we'll see you next time.